Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another fine Wednesday morning here in the city of Philadelphia to another coffee break chat. I'm your host, James Jackson, he, they pronouns, executive producer, Light Thief Productions. Looks like we're having I mean, it is gorgeous outside. I don't know if you've been outside yet this morning, but it is a really nice day out. Recommend getting out and getting a little bit of that vitamin D if you've got the chance and you live in the area. Um, it's an interesting one for us today. We've got quite a number of topics on the slate. I'm just going through some checks here on my content. It's trouble with the YouTube, but we'll figure that out at a later date. Facebook seems to be up, and that's where most of you guys watch anyway. But do hit the like button, the subscribe button. Check out the whole broadcast today. It helps us out. And let me take a look here. There it is. All right. So this week's talk, preservation of a culture does not require contempt for other cultures. That's a bit of a rewording of a Cesar Chavez quote. Cesar Chavez, famously U.S. born labor leader here in the United States, co-founded the National Farm Workers Association, which later merged with the Agricultural Workers and Organizing Committee, which became the UFW, the labor union that represents farmers and laborers in agriculture. It was one of the most powerful unions of the 1950s and 60s. Helped bring an end to the Dust Bowl era and the Great Depression by boosting labor rates and amount of pay that was going to what at the biggest time was the biggest consumption of labor in the United States, which was agriculture. Since then, we've had a downturn in what agriculture takes, manpower-wise, but we haven't had a downturn in the importance of unions. And it's interesting to see that unionization is spreading throughout what is now the biggest labor use in the United States, which is services, the service industry. Folks who do things like, make you coffee and you know, serve your food, that kind of thing. Sorry, I'm having a spacey day, having a little not being able to pull my words together. At any rate, it's interesting to see that unionization is now becoming more popular with everything from Starbucks workers to I saw recently possibly the first sex workers union being established in Nevada. A bunch of sex workers are unionizing and creating possibly the world's first sex workers union, and trying to make their club, which is a strip club, into a co-op, so owned by the labor. Very interesting thing to see happen. I hope that they actually make that happen. That would be really, really cool. At any rate, the topics for today, the Queen. I mean, the death of the Queen has been all over the news, so we're going to touch on that. Flooded Pakistan, terror clown, and the PA gubernatorial race. But before we get to all that, I have our special guest, Rose. Rose is here with Pedestrian Circus. Welcome on the screen, Rose. Please introduce yourself, what it is you do, and your pronouns.
Hello, good morning. It is me, Rose. Let me see. So I'm Rose Luardo. I am an artist, and my pronouns are she, they. And but I mean, what am I allowed to say? Can I just, it's on Facebook.
Yeah, it's on. It doesn't really matter. We don't have to follow FCC rules, so you
Okay.
can say pretty much whatever you want. I have a tendency to, as the host, push back if you say something that's factually incorrect, but
Oh, push back, push it all the way back. Get it on the ground, get it flat, lay on top of it, and scream at it. But I was having this conversation with somebody that I wish my pronouns were this bitch or that bitch,
ah,
because I had a wrestling character called this bitch,
uh-huh.
and really liked embodying the chemistry and the fluidity of just this bitch around town. But I'll take she they. I'll put it. So
She they is good. This bitch, that bitch is good. I'm all for anything. Personally, I don't care what people want to be called because it's not important to me what somebody else wants to be called. It's important to
I
me what I want to be called. But I don't know. You would think with recent efforts by certain gubernatorial candidates, Doug Mastriano is one of the two gubernatorial candidates here in Pennsylvania. For those that don't know, he's the Republican candidate, and you would think with certain statements that he made recently that using pronouns other than he or she would end the universe or something like that. There was recently a post, a news article by the Inquirer comparing the LGBTQ plus positions of Doug Mastriano and Josh Shapiro, the Josh Shapiro being the Democratic candidate for governor, um, and putting them side by side. And I, I know I'm a member of the media, but this is one of the things that I hate the most about modern media since basically the revocation of the fairness doctrine, um, is that modern media puts side by side two completely incongruous things, and tries to treat them as the same. Comparing Josh Shapiro's position on LGBTQ rights, which is, as far as I understand, he's just, for people having civil rights. With Doug Mastriano's position on LGBTQ people, which is not about their rights because he doesn't believe that LGBTQ has rights, that people don't have inherent rights to privacy or marriage or equal protection, and actually has said in public on the record that he thinks that we should gather up LGBTQ people and put them in camps, um, quote unquote, for their own protection. Comparing those two things isn't that doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, I got off on a rant there. It's just. Anyway, tell us a bit about Pedestrian Circus. And I think it might segue into Terror Clown a little bit, but
terror clown. Well, wait, isn't Doug Mastriano a terror clown? And we're
he is,
talking about terror clown.
but he inspired an actual terror clown this past week.
I I heard about this.
Okay,
I don't know the ins and outs, but wow.
well,
If that, what if that was your inspo? What if that is what you, geez, I mean, he should just, honestly, he needs to take a vacation right now. He's done so much.
it's just,
Fire a terror clown? I mean, you know what?
I don't. Um, for those that don't follow the news as closely as I do, in central western PA, yesterday, a man wearing a rainbow colored wig entered a Dairy Queen with a loaded handgun, and had in his car several other weapons, including a long rifle and a automatic weapon. And when he went into the Dairy Queen, somebody called the police, and I don't usually recommend calling the police, but in this particular case, it turned out okay. Um, somebody called the police as he entered the Dairy Queen because apparently he was carrying the handgun in his hand or had it in such a way that they could see it. And he went into the Dairy Queen, demanded to speak to the manager, said he was there undercover, and that he was trying to, I don't remember all the exact details. He was trying to stop the um, oh, let me find the actual article so I don't misquote, because this is all great stuff. I mean, this is amazing. I don't know how somebody actually gets away with walking around like this in public.
I like to do it as frequently as possible.
I'm be a terror
I
clown.
actually not a terror. Well, yeah, I guess like a brand of terror clown. I went to a gambling establishment. I believe I was in Caesar's.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still around?
It
Where
is, I
okay. So
believe.
it was the Golden Nugget, I'm not sure. And I was dressed in full clown.
Okay.
Full clown makeup. I was a denim clown. So I had many different shades of denim on and full clown makeup. And it took them almost an hour to find me and ask me to wash that shit off my face. And a female security guard actually marched me right into, I felt like I was in like private girls' school because they were like, basically, you could be ripping us off right now and we would have no idea what you look like because you've got terror clown makeup on. Real far though. I was enjoying it. I was like, I'm just going to see how far I can go. I had been in a show. So I had come from a show that I did with a friend and I didn't take any of the clown makeup off. I just went to my friend's birthday party
I mean that
after.
that seems legit. I mean, I would do that.
Yeah. I,
Uh,
you know, theater face. I was in theater face and
but
I
that is, you didn't go in with a gun or announce that you were working to restore Trump to President King of the United States, I would
no,
suppose.
no, I did not say King of the United States.
President
Oh,
King of the United States.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh boy.
And he said that he was armed to protect himself from drug traffickers and he wanted to kill all Democrats and liberals. So that's what got him arrested, saying he wanted to kill all Democrats and liberals.
Geez.
Lo-
I mean, I'm gonna have to work twice as hard as the clown that I am to just kind of get rid of that
that
image, you know?
balance that. Uh, does this tie in with Pedestrian Circus? I'm sorry, we've gotten off on a wild tangent.
Listen, sometimes that's where it goes.
Yeah,
We just had the divining rod of the conversation.
yeah.
Well, I'm a performer. I'm a funny person. And I was working a lot at this theater in Philadelphia that closed down. And so I signed up to be in the Cannonball Festival. I don't know how familiar you are with the Cannonball Festival,
We
but it's
actually
happening.
had the organizers on for a conversation last year.
Oh my God, amazing humans. Great, great, great humans.
Hmm.
They did it again this year. It's bigger, better, badder, wetter, splooshier, more vibrant. It's vibrating on many levels. So I applied and I got in. And I had made a solo performance in the choir in the Pandemio. And I was like, I'm just going to unleash all these characters, which is, what I like to do. So Pedestrian Circus is just sort of, it's a clown show just about humans and how humans are kind of ridiculous sometimes. And I feel like the more serious that you're trying to be, the more clownish you actually are. So that's the premise, but guess what? I like dancing, I like video. I have a fine art practice. I love costuming, I love all that shit. So I just kind of put it in a Louis Vuitton trash can and then barfed it out on stage for everybody. So it's about an hour long, 50 minutes or an hour long. I cycle through 4 characters. It's a romp and it's opening tonight.
I don't know if you're tracking tickets. We did put up the link to the event on Fringe Arts on the chat. So folks, check it out. Get tickets. Come out and see it. What time is it?
So today's show is 5:30, but guess what? I've got times for everyone. It's going from today until the 20th, not on the 17th, however. And the show times are as varied as they can be because guess what? Sometimes people need to go out right after work, and sometimes you need a later evening. So I have hold on, I'm gonna pull up for you. Tonight is 5:30, and then Thursday, which is tomorrow, is 7 o'clock. Friday the 16th is 10 p.m. Get out on the town, everybody. And then Sunday is 5:30, Monday the 19th is 7:30, and then Tuesday is the last show. That's the 20th at 9 p.m.
Nice. And these are all at the Moss building. It's a beautiful building. Are you upstairs there or
I
downstairs? Ups.
No, I'm in the studio
Okay,
upstairs.
so in the upstairs studio, I've shot photo shoots there. It's a really pretty room. Lots of exposed brick. Really nice place to be. And it looks like nice weather for it today, so get on out there. Um,
Great weather.
yes,
It's fantastic. It's a great day to go outside
it is.
and see a terror clown
Yes, yes.
with no gun, having zero gun. And only some costumes and some craziness. How about that?
It's interesting. The concept I find interesting. The more serious the what you said, the more serious you are, the more clown-like you are.
Yes.
I I,
Yes.
I always think of myself as a serious person, but and other people always think of me as a serious person, and yet at the same time, I'm not trying to be serious all the time. I guess I don't know how to put that. Like if it take I would amend your thing and say if it takes effort to be serious,
There we go. I was just about to say that. You just use the key phrase, I'm not trying,
right?
right? Now, sorry, sir, no clown in there. What you need to be trying to be, you want to be taken so seriously that you are like just moving around in this earth, on this planet, wanting to be seen as a serious person.
to
I mean,
to be seen
yeah,
as important or serious. Yeah, yeah, like that.
take me seriously, take me seriously. I take myself seriously. What I have to say is serious.
And it's
My
not.
favorite, yeah, I think like sometimes I think in terms of art, like art, sometimes like curators or people that think that they, know what is the most important thing that we all need to be looking at. There's a sense of like, I'm never wrong. I mean, I think a lot of institutions, are like, I'm never wrong. Listen to me.
Oh, I'm never wrong. For those again, I know a lot of the folks that watch the show don't spend a lot of time mired in the politics of like the minutia of Philadelphia politics. But I'm a member of a lot of organizations. I do a lot of things, and one of those organizations is the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists. It's one of the first black journalists unions in the country, um, and or I should say guilds. It's really more like a guild. It's not a union. They don't like negotiate on our behalf, but
Guild. I like you're saying guild. Not enough people. Guild. Guild.
But the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists recently pushed back against the Inquirer, the Philadelphia Inquirer, famous for having their own take on the fact that they're a very white organization in a very black city. Um, Released an article near the beginning of the pandemic, early 2020, that discussed this very topic. They said, we realize we've always had a relatively predominantly white newsroom. We've had always a very predominantly white set of editors. Our ownership has always been white. Um, and we realize that there's a distinct lack of diversity in what we do and what we cover, and that colors everything that we cover, and colors how we cover it. So we're gonna try. We're gonna try to be diverse. We're gonna try and bring in diversity, etc. So this is all what they said 2 years ago. And the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists congratulated them. You know, like we're like they're like, we'll work with you. The president of the PABJ, got an editorial position with them, and like we're gonna try and make this all work. Like you're saying, we're gonna try and do this nice. Um, Turns out 2 years is about the limit on the timeline of what white-led organizations are willing to accept from black-led organizations telling them how to do things. um,
2 years. We get 2 years. Yeah. Then we like lease a new car. We change out all the furniture. We dump it. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, the just this past month or so, the PABJ kind of issued a statement saying, "Hey, this isn't going so well. You guys want to maybe like redouble your efforts, or I don't know, pay any attention to anything that you said." And a lot of organizations are going through this as we kind of come out of pandemic restrictions. Even though the pandemic isn't over, we're coming out of pandemic restrictions, returning to in-person stuff. We're trying to kind of, normalize and make life livable again, I suppose. Um, but as we do this, there's a bunch of organizations that are kind of ignoring all the diversity and equity statements that they made during.
That's some full clown. That's very clownish to
Yeah,
me.
yeah. So yeah, that it's very funny, like like the organizations that like demand that they know best, like in response to the PABJ, the Inquirer released this scathing statement saying like basically the PABJ didn't know what it was talking about. But we're trying. But we have all these check we out the have whole all these broadcast efforts, all today. these diversity
It
efforts,
helps us out.
etc. Um, I don't know.
Does anyone know?
I,
Is there an answer? There doesn't seem we don't know. We're still in the blender. But I'm wondering what's going to happen maybe in coming months, like in the next 6 months. When did they release this statement? When did they start to roll it back?
just in within the last 2 weeks or so. Didn't know what it was talking.
Oof. Let's give them 2 more weeks to piss in their own faces. Let's see what happens. If they throw their own feces around, let's see if that's what starts to happen.
I mean, I'm willing to bet it is, but you never know, I guess.
That poor newspaper. Oh, that poor, sad newspaper.
I mean,
They've had a lot of problems. From what I understand, like the ownership has just like, and it's just been sold and sold and sold, and it's been like,
well, it's not that it's been sold. The Inquirer has had a standing interest by one of the bigwig names in Philadelphia for its entire publishing history. The problem that the Inquirer's had is that ad revenue went down like every other print publication, and they couldn't figure out how to make money. They did close their main building, and so it's just a revenue problem. Not that the ownership, cares, because it's a loss leader for them. This is the same. The ownership of the Inquirer is also the same people who took over the Barnes Foundation in kind of a hostile takeover. That whole story is interesting if you ever watch the documentary about it, or read about it. Barnes famously did not want his foundation and his collection to ever move. He put it in a specific spot for a specific reason. And the ownership of the Inquirer has always been on the opposite side of that, saying that it was in a place where people couldn't access it, and really wanting to take control of that collection. While Barnes was alive, he couldn't. Once he passed away, they basically ignored his will, and moved the Barnes Foundation into its current building, where they established rules that would go directly that would make Barnes flip in his grave, including the fact that
Flipping. He's flipping right
I
now.
I mean seriously, like, so Barnes is famous for collecting works so that people could study them and learn, and become artists, better artists themselves.
But he also had his own idea about like how work should be seen and how
Right,
he wanted to group it and how he wanted people to approach it
right.
and the setting that he wanted it in and the relaxed environment and
Hmm.
not to have it. Yeah. So I
And
mean,
the rule that I'm referencing here would be so easy to change. The rule at the current location of the Barnes exhibit is that you're not allowed to bring in sketch pads or sit at any one display for very long.
sick, sick, twisted and sick.
Right? I mean, how?
Pun- Punishing. That's like a layer of hell. This is Dante's Inferno. This is, and it's not even like 3 inches deep. That's deep. That's like really sadistic, right? So here's all this great work, and you cannot bring a pencil and a sketch pad. But there's a cat and nine tail. This is also what happens. Okay, so you can't bring a sketch pad or a pencil, but they do have a cat and nine tail, and they do ask you to remove your shirt, where they then slap you. Chest, so it's really wonderful. Okay, then also they sit down, they will give you a cracker with a little bit of strychnine on it. It's such a wonderful, it's lovely, it's so lovely.
Right,
So
right.
thank you very much, for coming to the Barnes. That's so crazy to me. Why are people crazy?
I have no idea. It drives it seriously, like it,
If you're an art student, why would you even bother going there?
I don't
It's like
know.
it's so offensive.
And it's offensive, like it's directly designed to be offensive to the memory of the person who collected the works in the first place.
Yeah, did they hate him? Maybe they hated him. They're like, you know what? We're just honestly, this is just to spite him. We're just gonna spank his soul.
I do love I love talking about this kind of stuff with artists because like a lot of people ask me, like, or even potential guests say to me, like, "Oh, I don't know anything about any of this stuff," and I'm like, You know all you need to know about it. Like, you're just a person who has an opinion, and artists are usually and artists usually have pretty insightful opinions. I think it's because artists and like take the world and look at it and really dissect it so that we can turn it on our head. Um, I
The world is meant to be turned on its head
yeah.
all the time, I think. Hopefully I do that in my show a little bit. Well, actually, I like comedy because I think comedy you can say and do and get away with and perform and be certain ways that, reality won't allow you to be.
I
Um,
think that's the essence of clowning, right? Like,
Yeah, and you want to know something? I will admit this right here on this show. I never called myself a clown. I was like, I'm a funny person who enjoys, and I would say that I would say I'm an artist, and I don't usually even call myself a comedian. I do a lot of performance, but there's a lot of other stuff that I love. I love dance and I try to incorporate dance and movement into a lot of the things that I do. I like body stuff. I don't really have a ton of dance training. I have a smidge, a little. I have a kiss. I have a breath of dance training, but I don't really have a lot of acting training. And it's not like anyone goes to comedy school, really. And I'm also a person of a certain age and a certain time where what you did was just went to open mic nights or like made your own stand-up routines. So I'm like a mishmash. I wouldn't totally call myself a clown, although I think that's what I am. You know, it's funny when I move through creative circles now, people will introduce me as a clown. I take it. I take it. I sit there and I take it. But just me talking about myself, I would say I'm an art person in every form of art person.
I and I there's a there's a line I think possibly between I think so. I was about to say there's a fine line between being an artist, like an artist that embodies artistry, like in everything that you do, um, versus the kind of concept that we were discussing earlier, where you're trying too hard. Um, and it's interesting because we're gonna pull this into the Queen here. So I think I think the line was set up initially. I could be wrong, but I think the line was kind of set up initially in European culture. With like the concept of court jester and jesterism, which evolved into clowning, but like that line is there. The clown would call out the things that were too trying too hard to be serious. That would they would call out the injustices, and like be there to be kind of like the bitch slap back at power, and just be like, nope, that's a bad idea. But they were allowed to get away with it because they were joking. Um,
Were also so low status
right,
that it wasn't threatening to the king. But this was the only person that could really call out the king and the king's behavior.
right.
So, and in a way that was not threatening, but in a way that was also very public. So, isn't that interesting?
And what I find interesting about current times is that there's been a lot of pushback against people who are clowning the death of the Queen, and clowning the new king, King Charles, for acting like a utter jerk at every possible moment that they have him on camera. Um, there was a clip released, I think last night, of him just getting really pissed off about having to sign his name and the date to a document, um, and literally not knowing how to work a pen. um,
Oh no. Oh, though, I gotta tell you something. Hearing you say that, I feel really sorry for him now.
I,
I feel really sorry for that sad bitch trying to work a pen publicly, all eyes on him.
not
Mom,
this wasn't even public. This was in a room. I think at Westminster Abbey, possibly, but it was in a little room with a few. Like there were a few people in attendance. It was like an actual official signing after the like public signing, and he was handed a pen, a fountain pen, I assume, because it leaked. Um,
oh boy.
like so.
Oh,
First of all, to anybody who services people, at that level, get them something nice that won't leak. Like modern technology has changed. We've come up with these inks and this thing called the ballpoint.
give
Um,
him the bowling. Why'd you make it complicated for him? He doesn't know what that. You know what I was gonna say? I'm like, listen, here is somebody who is just so richy rich, princess in the pea, like living life on a magic carpet ride. Everything is a LOL pillow for him. And by that I mean he's had a very soft existence, and you give the man a pen that he can't understand, and he kind of melts down.
right,
Give him a pencil.
right.
Oh God,
Well,
give him
I don't
something.
think you can officially sign things in pencil, but I mean,
This is true. This is true. I'm just saying nothing to work. What I'm
a
trying to say
stamp. Maybe we could do stamps.
is stamp. Something.
Yeah.
Come on, don't make him think.
No.
What you guys make him think? He hasn't had to think before. Please, please. You should just kind of tape the pen in here, and then someone should write it for him.
He doesn't. Yeah,
Why?
he doesn't need to know the date. Why does he need to know it's September 14th? And not the 13th.
Don't make him sweat mentally. We don't want to see the king's mental sweat.
And so
Come on.
many people are jumping up to defend him, like, oh, he just lost his mother and he lost his father within the same year. I'm sorry. I've had a parent die. I don't think it stopped me from using a pen.
Is it a pen? Maybe it should have. Honestly, maybe it
I
should
mean,
have
yeah.
stopped.
I mean, honestly, like if we're gonna talk self care, maybe I should have taken a week off from pens.
I do feel sorry for people that live their whole lives in the limelight. And I do feel sorry for people that we scrutinize this way because I'm like, you ready? You are so far from ever having a normal life. You will never, ever know what it is to just be human and not,
At the same time, you put yourself in that position, right? Because there's an example. Like there's an example to follow here. You have what's her name? Sorry, the American actress who married into the royal family.
oh, Meghan Markle?
Meghan Markle. Yeah, you have the example of Meghan Markle. She was relatively well known before marrying into the royal family, at least in the U.S. as an actor. Um, a very good actor, very successful. Came from a relatively wealthy family, but never flaunted it. Was just always kind of low key about it. Did things for herself, and now that she's part of the royal family, she's convinced her husband to kind of renounce a lot of the servants and trappings of
Yes.
fame.
What do you think it would have been like to be Prince Harry, though? Prince Harry has a long line. He has a trail of complications. He has a lot of complications. For instance, the rumor that his father might not be King Charles.
Right.
Do you see their king? I know to say king now. That it was actually one of the bodyguards that was hired by Princess
I
Diana.
mean, they look very similar though.
Very similar. Scratch my head and my face because they look incredibly similar. He doesn't look like his brother. His brother looks just like the dad. I'm like, to live in a family where this is like the maybe like a myth circuit. I mean, honestly, this is some Shakespeare, okay? This is some Shakespeare shit. This is just that must be so heavy to be living in that circumstance and then to actually meet somebody who can kind of take you out of it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, and
It's
I don't know. Yeah, I wonder what it would be like to be him, but also I that makes me feel less bad for people like Charles, because like part of the mythos that they try to build with the royal family, um,
Mhm.
is always, especially since Queen Elizabeth, is that they were like just sort of they were just shy of commoners as they grew
Oh,
up.
please. Oh, shut every hole. Sew up every hole. That's embarrassing. Oh my God, that's embarrassing. I feel sorry for them that they were trying to run around say such nonsense.
I mean,
F you
I mean,
guys.
like,
Oh my God, that's so rude. I'm angry. I'm angry. Now I'm gonna take it to the stage tonight and be angry at what's
I just find I don't know why they bothered to build this mythos, like that, when it's very clear, from, I mean, you could be King Charles, Prince Charles, and never have to do anything, right? Like the position, the power, the wealth, the recognition, all gives you kind of the license to sit back and not do anything. Why
yeah.
bother to build this mythos that you're kind of cool, on the low key, like
Because you can't handle that you're not cool on any level because you can't handle. Oh, someone came to kiss me on the head. Bye. Uh, someone just came to kiss me on the head. Okay. Wait, this is what I was gonna say. You need to work so hard to like establish a certain idea of yourself. Like you want your identity to be one that is like accepted and acceptable, because it's not acceptable to be that kind of a rich bitch whose feet never really touch the ground, you
what?
know?
Why?
And
I mean, why? People worship Elon Musk. They worship the dumb ass people who think that Trump is actually a billionaire worship the idea that he, you know, shits on a gold toilet, and that he, like, commands, people at his beck and call. they worship the ideal of.
Who worships that? I think it's the kind of person that worships something like that. I think that for me, when I think about this, it's that you're trying to attract a certain set of people that aren't amazed by shitting on a gold toilet. You know, you're trying to get somebody who is a little bit more down to earth. You're trying to get somebody who has a different approach to life. And so the way that you do that is to create a story about yourself that you are that too. I'm just like you. You can trust me. Yeah, I think it's you're trying to spread the peanut butter on every single corner of the bread. And so have this
I mean,
logic
but
because you
if you have
you got
multiple billions of dollars, if you're Elon Musk, let's say, and you have multiple billions of dollars, you've had multiple billions of dollars your entirety of your life, you've never had to worry about, like, oh, I missed paying that bill unless you literally forgot to pay it.
Mhm,
And when you forgot to pay it, it didn't matter if they fined you or charged you double or whatever. You're like, here's the money.
mhm.
Like if you are that person, why do you need to cover every corner? Why do you give a flying crap? You already have all the money. You'll more money.
Ego. It's ego. It's your relationship with yourself. It's the way that you need to feel about yourself. It's the persona. It's what you think people are thinking about you. It's your Jahari's window. It's what I know about me, what only I know about me, right? What everyone knows about me. And then there's this space where it's the thing about yourself that you'll never know about yourself. And I think that people are trying to discover what that is and trying to control that. And honestly, you can't. You can never control that. But I feel that people that have a lot of power want to be able to dig in that space and control what others think about them. Obviously, somebody wants to be liked when they go out there and try and push in on this idea that I'm just like you. I'm a commoner. I'm almost a commoner. It's hard. Do you know about the Johnson and Johnson heir that made a movie about, all of his wealth? It's because he's so uncomfortable not being liked because he's just a rich bitch. He could have just taken the nasty plunge into his rich bitchdom, but he didn't. He spent a lot of his Brewster's Millions to make a movie to make himself a real, approachable, likable guy. And he kind of does it, but that's a movie for himself. That's a true vanity project where I think what he wanted to do was to walk away feeling like a better person and like one of us. He wants to be in the cradle, in the universe's cradle of other people. So, and I think a lot of people do that on many different levels. We're
I,
probably all.
what I find fascinating about all of this is like there's a super simple way for all of these folks to actually achieve their goal and control what people think about them, which would be to divest themselves of some of their millions of bucks.
Yeah.
The like, and also, just be human to all other humans. That is a part of it. I mean, like, people.
Oh, in this movie, you see rich kids being horrible, being so gross. Absolutely. And then they tried to fight this kid when the movie came out, saying, like, you can't publish this. But yeah, it's gross. It's really,
I mean,
really.
what I was gonna segue to is, J.K. Rowling. She made millions of hundreds of millions of dollars on her intellectual property, and good for her. But she's also a raging turf, and even though she gives away a lot of her money to charity and whatnot, a lot of it is self-serving, and in the service of being anti-trans. I like here's an example of somebody who could easily control what everyone thinks about her. She's a publisher of fiction. She could write any sort of fictional narrative she wanted to come up with. And she has millions of dollars to spend on anything she wants. And so she decides to spend it on something that treats other humans as not human. That drives me. I don't like. If you really want to control what people think about you, why not just, be a human to other people?
I don't. Okay, this is interesting. I would like to know what kind of a person she was before she made her millions. Like who was she before she wrote all of these
She was
books?
a
What?
housewife and mother.
Yeah. Okay. So what kind of housewife and mother? What was happening to her? Why does she hate TERFs so much? What's going on? You know, like who I'm always interested in people who hate that much. It's and
I mean, if I had to, if in the Occam's razor of, usually people hate the things about others that they dislike about themselves the most, I would guess either she has kind of feelings herself, or she was married to somebody who was closeted transsexually, um, and
don't you think she has trans feelings herself? She's so into like magic, the magic of being able to have whatever reality we want to have. I bet she's a little trans.
right. Yeah,
She's
and some of her characters are like, very very obviously could easily be trans, and it's very it's very odd that she's so anti-trans. It's yeah. Anyway,
well, that's the thing. Well, that's the thing. Like we have basically figured her out, right? Right here, right now, we have unlocked the mystery, and that isn't something she really can control, no matter how much money she wants to throw at her turfdom, at her turf slaves.
but
Turf is crazy to me. There's maybe a special chamber in Hades for turfs. They have to, like, I don't know, they have to clean up piss for the rest of their lives.
I
I
don't.
don't know. In Hades.
This is a category of people, and it
Mm.
exists in every radical movement. It exists in every movement, really. It exists all across society. But it's a category of people that I intrinsically do not. I cannot like put myself on that wavelength. Like a lot of people, like even if I don't like them or like I hate their ideas, I can go, okay, I can see where you're coming from. I don't like this idea. I still don't think it's right, but I can get on your wavelength. This I don't get. So if your whole identity is wrapped up in um, being somebody who is radical about the freedom of a group of people, so TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. If you're a radical feminist, you have most of your identity wrapped up in being radically for the inclusion and equality of women. Um, and how do you become trans exclusionary at the same time? Like it exists in Black liberation movements too. Like, there's a lot of Black liberation people who us Black folks call hoteps. Who get on the like, oh no, like we were kings. Like we are the best. Like, no, you don't need to go to like, Black people are the best. All people are the best. All people are amazing. Like and a lot of the hoteps are anti-gay, like, really, again, because they're closeted gay themselves. But like, how do you get there? Like how do you hold that cognitive dissonance? Is that the word that was
Yeah,
popular?
I guess cognitive dissonance here, right? Okay, so to me, I'm like, this must be about self-esteem. And in order to raise my self-esteem, I have to make myself better than everybody else.
Do you though? Like, why can't you just make yourself? Why aren't all people awesome? Right?
Right? Because if everyone's awesome, then I'm just awesome with everyone else. I need to be better than everyone
I
else.
don't know. I don't know.
And you want to know something? You're really working backwards when you try and do something like that because
Yeah, because if you're because first of all, it gets your position ignored. And that's back to the quote for today. Preservation of one's own culture does not require contempt or disrespect for other cultures. That's the Cesar Chavez quote.
what do you think your culture is? What culture would you say you're dipped in?
Oh,
What do you
me
yeah.
personally, I'm just like
Yeah.
rabidly
Pers-
North American.
Did you say rabidly? Like a
Yes.
rap? Oh my God, that's phenomenal. I think I am also rabidly North American.
Uh,
I am an American motherfucker.
I,
I
I
am
mean, like,
really, uh,
even like I've been subject to the propaganda my entire life, and I know like the USA isn't like the best thing to happen since the invention of writing, but it's still a pretty cool place.
Listen, I agree with you. I feel very American. I'm very interested in you saying that your culture is to be hugely American. I'm hugely American. I think everything about me is I'm Filipino and Jersey. So I feel really, I mean, I would even say that I'm real like Northeast. Where are you from? Are you from the
I've
Northeast
lived all
originally?
over the East Coast, so mostly, yeah. I was born in Baltimore. I carry a lot of Southern culture with me, but yeah, it's but that's intrinsically wrapped up in Black culture. I'm Black and Japanese and German, and I do a lot of things that are Japanese culture and a lot of things that are German culture too. But yeah, the Southern stuff is wrapped up in the Black identity. Um, but
I feel it just is like many ingredients in the broth over here in America.
right, but
There's a lot.
that's why I would say I'm rabidly American. Like, like people look at me and they're like, "What are you?" I hate that question, first of all, but like, what is you?
Is
I'm a
you?
person.
You are that bitch.
I'm that
You are
bitch.
that bitch.
um, but the and excuse my wiping my face. I had something in my eye yesterday, and I can't get my eyes to stop watering. Anyway, um. What I was gonna go into with the Cesar Chavez quote is the whole pushback against Little Mermaid. Like what the I somebody read there's another YouTuber who he does a really good show. Um he read a comment from one of his subscribers that was emailed to him, and it was that this person didn't understand why this change to the character was happening, why they were changing her skin color. She grew up and was so enamored with the character of Ariel, as in the Disney Ariel,
Mhm.
and um, identified with that character so much that she even named her child Ariel. And like, yeah, that's the point. Like you're trying to. That's the whole point behind the change of the character, or the depiction of the character, is that you're getting lots more people who are brown to be interested in this character, and be able to be inspired by and feel identity with this character. Um, uh, and I've said something repeatedly that I think really gets to the heart of this, which is black people don't exist in the white supremacist imagination. Like literally don't exist. Um, so when you read something or when you watch something, you incorporate it through your internal filters, and part of that process is repicturing all the characters, because you give them backstories, you build their lives, um, as you're watching a movie or a TV show or anything. You build all the stuff that is missing so that you can view them as an actual person. um, and unless the author gives it to you, and
Mhm.
then when something happens that imagination, that thing that you built in your head, doesn't is incongruous with the depiction of the character in some other media, that's when this all pops up. And the problem here is that, like, it's the Lord of the Rings thing too. Lord of the Rings is having the new property, that's a series on Hulu or Amazon, um, is having a huge pushback against black dwarves and elves, and black people being cast in it at all. Um, because black people don't exist in the racist imagination. They don't exist in, we don't exist. I'm sure as hell don't exist. A mixed race person existing, that's like an affront.
Walk right through me. You can walk right through me. I exist. There's so little existence here that I'm air, right?
Right.
I'm just a ghost. I see what you are saying, and I am interested to see what happens. I haven't watched. I know that there's like these, what is it, prequels that are coming out,
Hmm.
saying that in these prequels there are like black dwarves or brown trolls or what have you that people are taking issue with because they shouldn't be there because Middle Earth is all white.
Right. Why would it be all white? it, I mean, if you look at the maps that Tolkien drew, he clearly drew Middle Earth as England, or the British Isles, to be more precise. He drew it as the British Isles, like it is the shape of the British Isles, and the idea behind all the races is that the elves go off to Ireland. Like the Middle Earth could be England, sure, but England was first occupied by the Picts, which there are no genetic modern descendants of the Picts, so we don't know what they look like. Um, and then it was taken over turn after turn after turn by waves of immigrants from Europe, from the Nordic countries, from Africa and Spain. Um, you had every kind of description of person living in the British Isles throughout history, including like when the Romans invaded, they put people from literally all over the world and garrisoned them in the British Isles. So you had Asian
Was Tolkien
people.
is Tolkien as crazy as Disney was?
No,
You know
no,
how Disney
Tolkien wasn't necessarily I mean Tolkien in if you're saying crazy as Disney is now, or you're Walt
that
Disney.
like Walt Disney, like when Walt Disney was first creating, what he loved about animation is that he could make his perfect universe. And it was white and sweet and saccharine and like birds sat on a finger. It was just this very
He Tolkien's worlds are realistic, or realistic as you can get in fairy tale land.
in
Um,
sci-fi.
but they weren't designed to be like exclusive or white or anything like that. They were in fact, like the whole
I would
thing is there
I think
are races.
I think a lot of these creatures would be brown creatures.
Right. Yeah.
I would think like witches, dwarves, trolls, ogres, fairies. I think of a lot of them as just being brown or even blue or just,
They're literal.
almost
They're literal other races, and that was the point that the other YouTuber made about Ariel. Ariel is literally another race of
yes.
being, like literally another race of being. She's a mermaid. She's not even human. There's humans and there's mermaids. There's two races in the Little Mermaid. There's actually more than that because there's fish, but
And lobsters and
um,
Sebastian lobster.
yeah, the
I
lobster.
That's all I really remember. But
Um,
that's a little look. All I'm gonna say is it's a little shallow to think that Ariel would be a white a white lady with red hair.
um,
You're I don't know. Maybe you've never seen a fish before and that's what you think.
I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they would live.
All right. Well, it's 11:02 according to my clock. I appreciate you coming on today and discussing the randomness that is modern culture. Do you have any last thoughts about Pedestrian Circus, or anything at all that you'd like to communicate to the audience?
Oh my goodness, that is gigantic. You've left a big space for me to fill. And I'm just going to say, I like laughing. I like joy bringing. I like all people. I want to mix it all up in that blender and drink it down. So if you would like to come to my show, please do. I let everyone on in. Everybody can come into my pedestrian circus, is what I'm saying.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being my guest today. I really appreciate it. And you're welcome to come back anytime. Stick around in the Zoom if you'd like to talk more. If not, have a great rest of your day. I'm gonna go to a one up of me, and I'm gonna segue out of the show. And thanks for being on.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Hi.
Thank you guys for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys watching. Even when we have technical difficulties, when we have, like any sort of thing happen, it's all an experience. This show is live. And we do what we can to make it good for you. Really enjoyed the show today, so I love conversations like this. If you have anything that you'd like to see on the show, please get in touch with us. The contact info is on our website. We do have another show next week, next Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/lightthiefproductions. Might have to move away from Patreon soon. They're having a little bit of a issue. But anyway, really appreciate you coming out. And like I said, tune in next week. We'll have another great show for you. Have a great rest of your week, everybody.